Hello, enjoyers. My name is Peter, and welcome to page 6 of this sketchbook. I've been drawing in one page per video. There's a playlist you can find of the previous 5 pages, and boy, is this a good one. I think this is a really cool drawing, as you'll see at the end. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Once again, using Pigma Micron 01 sized pen and a little bit of a Tombow water-based marker for filling in some of the bigger, darker black areas. In other news, thank you for everyone who's been buying those. My book that I released recently, been selling some copies on Amazon, but also I have a signed and doodled version where I sign it and doodle in the front page, and also a secret inside page for you on my website. And I've been selling way more of those than I thought, so thank you. I already shipped out the first 8 that I had. I only had 8 copies, and I had to order more. I'll post a video of me drawing in those 8 in a couple days. I just wanted to wait for people to get those so I could see it in person before they saw it on the internet, right? But I'll post that video in a day or two, and then I gotta wait. When I order the author copies, for some reason it takes like 3 or 4 weeks for them to come in, but I bought tons more, and then I have to get into doing more of those doodled. I kind of do like a custom cover page. So there's a link in the description if you want to buy your own. If you buy it now, you should be able to get it before Christmas. Also, in another note, I went to a doctor's appointment, not a doctor's apartment, a doctor's appointment recently, and it was just like a yearly physical, like a yearly checkup. You know, doctors and dentists, they're pretty much all like making excuses. You know, they're like, hey, we should, even if nothing's wrong with you, they're like, we should probably check, make sure nothing's wrong with you, even if you're not feeling any pain. And in one way, I like it. I like feeling like they care. You know, like they want to check, but also, of course, they just want the business. Anyways, I went. I don't have a big problem with it. I like going in for the yearly checkup. And even though I bought the lowest tier of insurance possible, thankfully, it does cover that. And before I went in for the checkup, like 1 week before that, I had to go in for like labs where they draw out some blood, you know, so that the doctor can look at it when I go in for the physical. Before I went in for this lab, they sent me a thing in the mail, even like a week before the lab, detailing, you know, all these things about how I shouldn't, you know, like the night before, I got to stop eating food at like midnight, and in the morning before I go, all I can have is like milk. No, sorry, not milk, water and black coffee, which is fine with me because I scheduled it for like 9:15 in the morning. So it's not like I was going to be hungry for a lot of the day. But then there was all these details about things they were going to have me do, like do a urine sample, which I had never done there before. Well, occasionally I do, but not at like a regular lab. And also they said in this little pamphlet they sent me in the mail that they were going to send me home with a cup to do a stool sample to bring back at my physical. And I had never done this before. Apparently they just wanted to check if there was blood in my stool or something. If you don't know what stool is, that's the fancy doctor way of saying poop. I'm sorry if that's a little crude to talk about, but at first I was like, okay, yeah, I guess that's a good thing to check on. But then the more I thought about it, the weirder it got. And of course it's a little bit weird to put your own poop in a cup, and I'm not so afraid that, you know, I mean, look, I'm not perfect. I do occasionally get a little bit of poop on my finger when I'm wiping or something. I'm not like afraid of poop, but I mean, it does seem weird sometimes that it's 2025 and we're still having to do this thing that seems so much like a caveman type action, pooping all the time. But then the fact that I would have to put it in a cup and put a little lid on it and put it on the counter and take it into the car with me and drive around in the car with my own poop in a cup and then take it into the doctor's office with me and sit there in the waiting room holding my poop in a cup and then take it in with me. This is just more of a relationship than I ever expected to have with a little nugget of my own poop, right? That's what struck me as so weird about it. I never expected to make such close friends with my own poop. Anyways, I went in for my lab, which is where they take your blood 1 week before the physical, and I sat there and they called my name and I went back, and they kind of schedule this thing where they just do labs of a bunch of people all at once. And they called my name and I went back there and I rolled up a sleeve and they took a vial of blood, and then it was over. It took like 20 seconds, the whole thing, and they didn't have me pee in a cup. They didn't give me a poop cup to take home. It was all just, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about all of this for nothing. I guess that's just kind of, although while I was waiting to get my blood taken, I saw other people walking out with poop cups. But now that I think about it, they were all older people. So I think maybe that's something that I start checking for at a certain age a little more. And I guess I haven't quite hit that age yet. But I guess it's only a matter of time. As I was walking out, it all happened so fast because they only took one vial and it filled up super quick. And I'm one of those people that can't look at a needle going into myself because I'll get lightheaded and maybe pass out. It's happened in the past. So I was looking at this picture on the wall. At this doctor's office, they have tons of like landscape scenery photos, and they're all taken by one of the doctors there, and they're just everywhere. And as I was checking out, I was as I was checking out the actual physical a week later, I was talking to like one of the reception ladies. I was like, this doctor takes a lot of photos, huh? But she didn't hear me. She didn't say anything. I was just trying to make small talk. But I was like, there's got to be some kind of story about why this guy takes, so like, is he a doctor? Is he a photographer? Like it must just be like his amateur thing he does when he's on vacation. He's like takes a giant, nice, high quality camera along with him everywhere. Like this, they're all blown up, giant and nice frames everywhere, covering almost every wall of the doctor's office. Anyways, and also this weird thing happened when, before you go into the doctor's office, there's like a nurse that comes out to the the waiting room and calls your name and takes you back. You step on the scale and then they take your vitals. I guess it might be called. They, take your blood pressure, heart rate and everything. And we were just kind of making small talk because there's maybe 4 or 5 of these nurses, and they all kind of had their own little cubby areas where they would bring a person back and sit them down, and they have their little computer and some paperwork and their stethoscope and their blood pressure cuff. And I was just kind of commenting on how oh, you're kind of cramped in here. They didn't give you a very big cubby for put all your stuff. And she was kind of proud of how she had customized it with some command hooks to hang her stethoscope on and stuff. And we were just making small talk. And right as she was putting the blood pressure cuff around my arm and starting to take my blood pressure, we continued to make small talk. And I asked her how she was doing, and right at that moment, she told me this terrible story about how just that morning she had gotten some awful news about her husband's sister getting into an awful car crash and going to the ICU, and how they were in the ICU right then. And I was like, oh no, I was doing my best to sympathize with her and everything, but that's just some crazy. Thinking back on it, I was like, I wonder if that affected my blood pressure. Sometimes I feel like my blood pressure is higher than it is naturally just because I'm sitting there in a weird place like a doctor's office, having something weird happen to me, like getting my blood pressure taken. But then on top of that, this poor nurse, obviously I'm not blaming her at all, because that's probably the main thing that was on her mind, this awful news that she got at the beginning of the day. But then I was just thinking about, on top of all that, I was getting my blood pressure taken while I had that dumped on me at the same time. I wonder how much that affected my blood pressure. Obviously, I'm not really complaining. I'm more morbidly curious, and I hope her husband's sister or whoever it was turned out okay. I feel bad for mentioning it at all because it doesn't really affect me at all for something that affects someone else so terribly. But anyways, the doctor's offices, the dentist, wherever you go, something weird always happens in some strange way. It's just such a weird, niche, specialized experience, a weird location where things are just slightly different than they are anywhere else in the world, at least in my experience. Anyways, yeah, that's how it went. Let me know what you think of this drawing. I think it turned out great. Oh yeah, like and subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next video, okay? Check out the links in the description. There's some merch too on Fourth Wall if you want a shirt or a hat or something, a sticker maybe. All right, see y'all later. Bye. Goodbye.